Hello, my beautiful friends. Thank you so much for joining me again today. Welcome to Behind the Magic, a podcast from Aradia's Closet where we dive deeper into the components of magic. I'm Tanya, your host. I have all kinds of things planned for you, book reviews, how-tos, and interviews with some really amazing people. So, if you want to gain a little more perspective on magic, tune in each week for more. Today, I want to share with you one of my favorite versions of The Charge of the Goddess, written by one of my favorite authors, Silver Ravenwolf. Here's what the internet has to say about her. Silver Ravenwolf is a nationally recognized leader and elder of Wicca, and her writings have been instrumental in guiding the future of one of the fastest growing faiths in America today. The author of many books, she has been interviewed by the New York Times, Newsweek magazine, and the Wall Street Journal. And her work has been featured in numerous publications including Bust Magazine, the Baltimore Sun, the St. Petersburg Times, the National Review, Publishers Weekly, Body and Soul Magazine, and Teen Lit Magazine. Her titles include the best-selling trio, To Ride a Silver Broomstick, To Stir a Magic Cauldron, and To Light a Sacred Flame. Ravenwolf is the author of over 17 books on Wicca and paganism in general. She has also written several novels. Currently, her books have been translated into Czech, Spanish, Italian, German, Russian, Hungarian, Dutch, and Portuguese. To Ride a Silver Broomstick is a great introduction to witchcraft and is the book that puts Silver Ravenwolf on the map. Selling more than 300,000 copies, this popular guide to the craft has been helping a new generation of witches for over a decade. Filled with Silver Ravenwolf's warmth, humor, and personal anecdotes, To Ride a Silver Broomstick introduces the science and religion of the craft. So, in her book, To Ride a Silver Broomstick, she gives her own prose version of The Charge of the Goddess. And if you don't know what The Charge of the Goddess is, let me read to you what the internet says about that. The Charge of the Goddess is an inspirational text often used in the neo-pagan religion of Wicca. The Charge of the Goddess is recited during most rituals in which the priestess is expected to represent and embody the goddess within the sacred circle, and is spoken after the ritual of drawing down the moon. The charge is the promise of the goddess to all witches that she will teach and guide them. It has been called perhaps the most important single theological document in the neo-pagan movement. It's used not only in Wicca, but as part of the foundational documents of the reclaiming tradition of witchcraft co-founded by Starhawk, who I absolutely love as well. And I'm going to be talking about one of her books in the future, The Spiral Dance, which is absolutely one of my favorite books as well. Several versions of the charge exist, though they all have the same basic premise, that of a set of instructions given by the goddess to her worshippers. The earliest version is that compiled by Gerald Gardner. This version, titled Lift Up the Veil, includes material paraphrased from works by Aleister Crowley, primarily from the Book of the Law, thus linking modern Wicca to the cosmology and revelations of Thelema. It's been shown that Gerald Gardner's book collection included a copy of Crowley's The Blue Equinox, which includes all of Crowley's quotations transferred by Gardner to The Charge of the Goddess. There are also two versions written by Doreen Valiente in the mid-1950s, after her 1953 Wiccan initiation. The first was a poetic paraphrase, which eliminated almost all the material derived from Leland and Crowley. The second was a prose version, which is contained within the traditional Gardnerian Book of Shadows and more closely resembles Gardner's Lift Up the Veil version of 1949. Several different versions of a Wiccan Charge of the God have also been created to mirror and accompany the Charge of the Goddess. While I'm all about tradition and the Gardnerian Book of Shadows, I absolutely love Silver Ravenwolf's version of the Charge of the Goddess, and I wanted to read it to you here today. But before I read that to you, let me just again thank you for joining me. And if you don't know already, you can find Behind the Magic on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Music, and Buzzsprout. Silver Ravenwolf presents a fascinating introduction to the craft and To Ride a Silver Broomstick. The beginning of the book here, she writes, "The charge comes to each of us in a different manner. It is that moment in our lives when we feel the magic of the universe for the very first time, coursing through us. And we know beyond all real and imagined shadows that this calling to the mysteries is indeed there, that it is truly there and not a whimsical flight from reality. I love her version of the charge of the goddess so much that it's what I actually included in my own personal Book of Shadows. So here we go. It's the preface of To Ride a Silver Broomstick, the charge of the goddess. It's Midsummer Night's Eve, the longest day of the year. This is a unique time full of unlimited power and mystery. You are standing in a large, secluded clearing, banked on three sides by the dark, evergreen skirts of Mother Earth. Behind you expands a rolling cornfield in the cycle of infancy. Above you hangs the moon. She is full and heavy, dripping her milk-white light on the planet below, like a mother's breast that anticipates the nurturing of a child. The remainder of the heavens expands about the glowing orb, velvety and black, pricked by a multitude of winking stars. You take a deep breath, heavy, sweet with the odors of a cooling summer day. The field, the dark, the sounds of the night, the forest, and the moon all collide in a time that does not exist. As you look around the clearing, there comes the realization that you are one among many, old and young, robust and slender. They, as you, have come from many distant places to be here this night. A sea of faces, each barely masking the taut anticipation behind them, utters whispers that merge with those of the nocturnal insects. An atmosphere of peace and unity with both worlds prevails. A hush, like the roll of a soft wave, moves across the crowd. Silently, the people form a circle. A lone cloud scuttles to greet the face of the moon and veils its brilliance for a second. In the darkness, man, woman, and child join hands. As the light once again filters down among the people, you hear the awed murmur of the crowd. The center of the circle, empty only moments before, is brilliantly lit by the aura of a single woman. She is like no other. You search your memory, but you can remember no equal, neither in this lifetime nor in any other. Her stance is straight and proud. Her strong yet delicate arms rise to the heavens, drawing down the light of the moon into her breast, into her soul. She is swathed in shimmering material that any human has yet to make. You marvel at how it ripples about her, like fine flesh that kisses the night. Some in the crowd see her as a raven-haired beauty. Others see her as a white blonde princess. Yet there are those who observe her as a fiery red-headed warrioress. To you, her skin appears a musk honey color, but to the man next to you it shines with polished ebony. It's then that you realize that you are connected to the thoughts of all in the universe. To look upon her radiant face is to have the air stolen from your lungs, and you gasp, eyes fluttering in mild fear of drowning in the logic of nothing. The sensation flashes by. You are left with steady breath and a pumping heart. To look within her is to experience the divine, the goddess. The logical mind does not accept the creative premise of divinity. You internally debate whether you are looking upon human flesh or a figment of the heavens. You have been told by others that the human is Aradia, queen of the witches. Some have said she is the incarnation of the goddess herself. Others say she is the daughter of the goddess, as she could not enter her full self in human flesh. Regardless of the debate, you know that you have waited a very long time to see her. Although the humans here are total strangers to you, you finally feel that you are home. This is the place where you belong. She speaks. Her silver voice rings loud and true. In amazement, you watch as the tallest trees around the clearing bow down in reverence as she begins the call. Hear my words and know me. I shall be called a million names by all who speak. I am eternal maiden. I am great mother. I am the old one who holds the immortal key. I am shroud in mystery, but am known to every soul. She lowers her arms and holds them open towards the people circled around her. A small girl child in the crowd cries out in fear, erupting the peace of the circle. Her horrified mother attempts to remove the child as the little one breaks into a lusty squall. But Aradia only smiles and beckons the small one to her. She holds her arms in a cradling position, and where they were once empty, the child now materializes. The mother is left guiding only empty space from the circle. If there was one among the crowd who does not believe in her reality, her realness surely blossoms in that moment as the child nestles into Aradia's shoulder in peaceful contentment. Still holding the child, Aradia gestures one elegant arm to the sky and speaks. Hear my words and know me. Whenever the moon rises in the heavens, shall my children come to me. Better it be once a month when the moon is full. Shall you assemble in some secret place such as this, and adore the spirit of I who am queen of witches. And under my watchful eye, my children shall be taught the mysteries of earth and nature, of the ways of all magic. That which is unknown shall be known, and that which is hidden shall be revealed. Even the secluded soul shall be pierced with my light. From my cauldron shall be drunk all knowledge and immortality. She pauses to caress the head of the girl child, then lowers her gently to the ground. The tot scrambles quickly back to her mother, the cherub face serene, radiant, and blessed. Aradia begins to glide slowly around the circle of people, looking intently into many shadowed faces. She speaks. You shall be free from slavery, and you shall dance, sing, and feast. Music shall surround you, for mine is the ecstasy of the spirit, and mine is also the joy of the earth. Her eyes grow large and luminous, and her voice flares with raw power as she proclaims, I do not demand sacrifice, for behold, I am the mother of all living things. She places the palm of her right hand on a man's forehead. She shouts, Create and heal, then softens her voice and winks at another, Be strong, yet gentle. She turns quickly to an old woman, Be noble, yet reverent. She then tips the chin of an attractive young woman, Bring forth and replenish, and pivots with a seductive laugh. She moves about the circle, touching each individual, murmuring encouragements of hopes and dreams, laying aside fear and hatred. And, as does the cycle of the moon ever begin to wax and wane and to grow forth again, as do the seasons from one to the next flow in smooth rhythm, from sowing to reaping to seeming death and rebirth, so will my children know their own pattern in both worlds. Your heart begins to beat its own primal rhythm as she glides towards you. Your stomach does familiar flippity-flops when you realize it's you she has singled out. She stands but a breath in front of you. You feel her warmth envelop you with the perfume of musk, or is it lavender? She is so beautiful you think your eyes will never see normally again. Her hand delicately touches your shoulder, sending a rapturous vortex of power jolting down your body, then building in your belly. She speaks in a whisper that amazingly all can hear. And you shall say these words, I will love and harm none. I will live, love, die, and live again. I will meet, remember, know, and embrace once more, for the free will of all, and with harm to none. As I will, it now is done. So mote it be. You speak the words. The people speak the words. She backs to the center of the circle, never appearing to move, but there just the same. Her power churns through every molecule of your system. The circle begins to fill with drifting notes of panpipes whirling into a foggy spiral toward her. Where she once stood alone now solidifies a towering being, half beast, half man. His body is covered in fine golden iridescence. His bronzed, muscular arms encircle her gently, as if she were made of the lightest fairy wing. 2 large, twisting horns protrude from his head, glowing with a light that appears to be all its own. His visage does not frighten you, for you realize this is the god, the consort of the lady, and that he is the golden half of her silvery being. They smile deeply at one another. Their separate bodies slowly melt together into a single blazing entity of light, and the human circle is plunged into darkness. Your fearful heart turns your eyes to the heavens, but it is only another cloud that has passed before the face of the moon. The light returns almost as quickly as it was stolen, perhaps not quite as mystical as before. All eyes turn towards the center of the circle, and it is bare. I absolutely love this version of The Charge of the Goddess, and I've actually read it in circle, and it was very moving. I often get asked the question, what books should I read? Which is a really hard question to answer because if you've been following me along for a while, you'll know that I'm going through the library with my friend Steven, and his library is over 2,000 books. My library, on the other hand, is really more like 2 bookshelves. I do have, if you're interested in knowing what my condensed library is all about, on my YouTube channel, I have a video that's called The Best Reading Material to Enhance Your Spiritual Life. These are the books that, no matter what I do, I always have a copy of. And you can find a link to all of these books in the show notes. Thank you again for joining me. Remember, the hardest part is getting started.